I just learned some jazz today, it's true. He just learned some jazz today, and you gon' learn.
Hey guys, if you're listening, we would love it if you would tag us on Instagram stories so that we can help get the word out about the Irie Lemon podcast. We so appreciate your support. Thank you for everything.
What's up, guys? It's Vince from the Irie Lemon podcast. Make sure you subscribe, and subscribe, baby.
Nah, pre them, cause nowadays you couldn't find me on the BBC.
All right, guys. Hello. I'm so excited to welcome my dear friend, Lexi. I'm going to keep saying Lexi's Clean Kitchen, but it's Lexi's Clean Living. Lexi, will you please tell everybody who may not be familiar a little bit about you?
Yeah. Well, hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me. So Lexi's Clean Kitchen and morphing into thing is really just an online platform where we, it's our bread and butter is healthy, really good, real food recipes that, don't compromise on flavor and any of that. I mean, they're tested, they're tried and true, and we work really hard to make things like gluten-free and grain-free, and I can explain more of how I got to that point, but not taste like the average gluten-free baked good type of thing. But then beyond that, as it's become Lexi's Clean Living, it's more about what we put on our bodies, not just what we put in it, and kind of that whole world of just overall a little bit cleaner lifestyle and all that kind of good stuff. So that's a little bit.
And you have a new addition to your family. How's that going?
So she'll be 6 months in like 2 weeks or a week and a half or so, and she's so much fun. This is like a really fun age because we're like about to serve food, which I'm actually kind of anxious about.
Yeah.
But I'm like more anxious than like everyone's like, oh my, you must be so excited. I'm like, no, what if she chokes? I'm terrified.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
First rapid fire question.
Okay.
You're about, healthy living. Are you gonna start your kid off right? Are you gonna like something like that? Or are you gonna be like, all right, no, you eat everything, and then as you get older, we're gonna trim the fat? What's your philosophy on that?
Great question. So I guess a little bit of a combination. Personally, like throughout my pregnancy, I was tolerating gluten and grains and actually some dairy, which was new for me, which was awesome. And I was like, do it all because I don't want to give her an allergy or any sensitivity. So like I'm making sure I'm eating peanut butter and things that like I maybe like didn't agree with like me too much beforehand. And same with her, like her first food's like not going to be Cheerios, but like, so I'm going for like the more nutrient dense stuff. But like, we always joke like, I'm like, oh, like the Annie's cheddar bunny is, and my husband's like, she needs goldfish, man. Like she's like, I know. And I'm like, we'll see when we get there.
Rich just bought Cheerios this week, and it's so funny because like, they mostly eat. At first we were like, no cereal. We were making fresh oats every day with flax and blueberries and walnuts. And it's like, over time, I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
So if they're eating kale, like last night we had homemade chicken stock chicken soup with chickpeas and spinach. Like if they're eating that 80% of the time, I'm going to let a goldfish in the house, a Cheez-It, a Cheerios.
Totally.
But it is funny because it's like you'd love to never see that. But to your husband's point, it's kind of like when we're on a road trip, all I want is like some Chex Mix.
Totally. And I'm going to go to their friend's house and I'm like, hate me. They're just, Mom, what is this Lucky Charms? Like, what are you doing to us,
Okay, speaking of kiddos, weren't you a teacher? You blogged full time?
I was.
Art teacher?
Yep, elementary art, so K through 4. And I taught for a while, and like the decision to leave teaching to run Lexi's Clean Kitchen full time was, it was clear, and it was the time, and it was like I was ready to take the plunge, and it was calculated. Like we were at a point in the business where I could, and then the book deal came about, and I was like, okay, that's really my sign. But like I loved teaching so much. It was sad. So I was like struggling with wanting to leave, but I haven't looked back.
Do you think being a teacher naturally helps you with building your business and your blog? Because it is kind of a nature of teaching people how to do the things you're selling, right?
Yeah. I think so, in the sense of like I feel like I'm able to like take my the teacher in me and like kind of put it out there and like kind of like simplified in a way, but I also taught like K through 4, right? So I would draw like a line on the board and they would applaud me and I was like, this is amazing. I'll be here all day. Like, so a little different, but definitely in like regards to like putting out stuff and like, you know, how can I get this across in a way that like makes sense and it's, you know, simplified and it breaks it down. So yeah, I think more than not.
Okay. So I have 2 questions, and I'm thinking about the people listening that, you know, so many of us, we all admire bloggers, and we always want to know how do they get there and what does it look like now. So why don't you first start? I'd love to know what made you want to spread the word about clean eating, clean living. Where did that passion come from that you felt like that was your mission to really help others, you know, live a cleaner life?
Yeah. So in 2013, I had like all these stomach issues, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. It was like, it was bad. Like I didn't want to leave the house. Like I was so bloated, not to be gross, but like bathroom issues, XYZ. It was like, it was just getting to a point where I was like, I was exercising all the time. I was, you know, I was into P90X and Insanity and those like Beachbody programs, and I was eating good. So I thought, or, you know, I was trying to eat healthy. And it was just getting worse and worse. So before I actually like went to a doctor and like did some testing and figured out what was going on, I was like, I came home from work one day and I said to Mike, I was like, that's my husband. I was like, I'm going to just eliminate some stuff from my diet. I must have read this somewhere or heard it somewhere because it just was like, it wasn't like, it was like this, it wasn't such a big thing back then. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to eliminate some things from my diet and see if anything helps or see what's going on because like, it was like so obvious that I needed to heal something in my stomach or like something was just going on. So and he was like, yeah, right. Like no chance you're not reaching for like the bread basket at dinner. I'm like, I'm willing to try anything here. So I cut out gluten and dairy and like pretty quickly I saw a huge difference in just like my gut health, like just digestion, that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm willing to go with it because I'm feeling better. Like, I'm starting to feel better. It was definitely not anywhere near 100%, but I was like, okay, like, whether it's sustainable or not, like, for right now, like, I'm going down this path. So then I cut out, like, grains, and then I started researching, like, just the food industry. So I was like, okay, I'm done with soy. Like, soy's out for me. Unless it's like, you know, like, started, like, going down the rabbit hole and all. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, like, I'm feeling really good, but I need help with, like, that 10%. Like, I don't even know what's going on with my stomach or digestion or skin or anything. Everything was, like, not doing well. So I went to a functional medicine doctor. I went to my regular doctor. And then through testing and all this, it came out that I had candida, which is a bacterial overgrowth that feeds on yeast and sugar and like just like a few XYZ. So I have no allergies, but like so many things that were just affecting my digestion, my mood, my sleep, and like all of that. So yeah, so that's how it started. So okay, so then I came home to Mike one day and I was like, I'm gonna start sharing these recipes I'm making because there wasn't like gluten-free or good, like everything everywhere. Like it was like, and not like, you know, even if you go to, everyone's like, I'm eating gluten-free cookies every day. Like, why aren't I like getting to my weight loss goal? I'm like, you're eating cookies every day. Like it doesn't mean that it's like healthy, you know? So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make some pizza crust, or I'm going to, you know, explore XYZ. And I started creating things and they were good, or they were getting good. I was figuring it out. And I was like, I'm going to make an Instagram account. It was Alexis K916. Like there was no like branding going on here. I was still teaching, happy, like didn't think anything of it. And I never had Instagram personally. And I was like, I am going to make this Instagram account and I'm just going to share my recipes. So if you were to go, I don't even know how to do this, go all the way back to like the first post on Lexi's Clean Kitchen. They are on Instagram. They're hysterical. And it's like, and then so I started sharing recipes and like, but I was like into it. Like I was on Instagram. I was like, you know, into the hashtags. And this was back in the day where everyone saw everything. So the following was growing, and then people would be like, do you have a place where we can find all your recipes? And I was like, no, just scroll back on my Instagram feed, like, duh. And then I was like, okay, like, so that was January or February of 2013, and then in June of 2013, I was like, okay, like, let me make a website, like, let me take this a little more seriously, and like come up with the name and all that stuff. But it was very much like I did it, like, you know, it was a WordPress Productizing.com, like free version, which if you're trying to start a blog, just invest a little and don't do that because then you have to share.
Right.
That's how it started. It was like super just like I was figuring out what was going on with me. Like I didn't know about SEO. I didn't know any of that. I was like, tonight we're eating paleo, this and this and this. And but it's like, Mike, come down for dinner or come in the other room for dinner. And he was like, he would come in and I was like, hold on, I have to take like 45 minutes worth of iPhone 30 pictures. And then like, he was like, okay, can you wait? So that's how it started. And it was just kind of grew organically from there.
Yeah.
So my mom, she's a holistic practitioner.
Yeah.
And so when you talked about gut health, maybe you can give people little tips. I didn't realize until I learned about it how important your gut is to like your whole body.
Your whole body. Like it's all connected. Like, you know, and people are like, oh, that's crazy. Like that you would cut out XYZ, you know, to heal your gut. I mean, my gut was so it's called leaky gut. And it's like, imagine your gut and then there's like holes punctured in like the lining. And like I would eat a piece of lettuce and my stomach would have, like I would have symptoms. And it was to the point because like, you know, so things are getting through those holes like that are in your gut lining because it's so damaged and it's not healed. And then, it's causing inflammation in the body. Your body is like, wait, this shouldn't be going on here. And then like it causes this whole, reaction. So like, your skin, your sleep, like your mood. I mean, it's crazy how it's all connected.
Right. So what would be, let's say someone's listening to this and they're resonating, and of course, go to your doctor, go to your naturopath.
Yes.
But let's just say someone wanted to honestly eat a little bit cleaner. We're big fans, you guys, anyone listening, none of us are perfect. I, for example, am a big fan of the 80-20 rule. So,
and I am too now.
Yeah. So let's just say you wanted to just take a few small practical tips, whether you're, listening to this now when it's like around the holidays or January or beyond. Let's just say you wanted to be a little bit cleaner. What would be maybe
So I just cut out there. I hope you guys didn't want me to cut out, but no, but I think I got where you're going with it. Like if you're just trying to eat a little cleaner. So here and like just like wanted like so my whole goal with everything was like, okay, I'm going to heal my gut to the point where I can bring stuff back. It wasn't like, I mean, at this point, I'm like, me and Mike both feel better when we eat mostly gluten-free. So besides that, I'm pregnant and breastfeeding and all that, like we generally do that like because we want to. But I can tolerate more now because I've gotten my gut and my stomach and my body to that point. So for anyone listening who's like, oh no, I have all these things, like this is so overwhelming, it doesn't have to be forever. And I always like to say that to people because they're like, when I went and they were like, you have candida, like you can't have fruit. I'm like, I just cut out like 75 things now. I can't have an apple. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, get out of here, but like, that's why I always say like, don't stress, like just like, you can take little steps to figure it out. But in terms of just wanting to eat a little cleaner or healthier or whatever way you want to, phrase it, just to like feel good, I think a huge part is just like taking it like slow. You don't need to throw every single thing out in your house. I mean, unless we can get there, but unless there's a real reason. But like, reading ingredients, like reading labels, like kind of having, like working on gaining a little more knowledge of what you're putting in your body, and then just taking small steps, like swapping little things in your house for better quality things. And you'll soon be like, wow, like, I don't want that. Like, that was so sweet. Like, I don't even want that anymore. Or, I feel so much better that, like, let me do it a little, continue on that path. So it's like, my biggest advice is, like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Take little small steps and just learn a little, like, read labels and educate.
Change always small steps repeated again and again. It's never something
That big.
Dramatic, right? Like at your next meal, maybe just try to swap out pasta with something gluten-free, or just slowly but surely. Don't say, I'm gluten-free forever. I'm never eating sugar again. Like, how about you just maybe don't eat dessert 7 nights a week, drop to 6. then drop to 5. I just think that's the best, most easy way to approach a more sustainable lifetime change.
For sure. And like, oh yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, can you give us some tips on reading labels? And
Yeah,
explain that just because the package is green and white, it does not mean that
Yeah.
it's healthy.
for sure. So, right. Or if it says like, gluten-free when it's like tortilla chips, it's like, okay, like they're naturally gluten-free. They're like selling it to you, but then you're like, let's say you turn it over, right? A really good example actually is like oat milk and almond milk or any of those dairy-free milks. Like I really don't do well with cow's milk. I would love to like be able to go to a local farm and like, obviously that's such a luxury that I have that I would be able to afford all that and whatever. But like if I could tolerate real dairy like that, that would be my move. Like that would be, or that's like, would be what I would want. But I don't tolerate it all. So for example, like I went to the store and I got some oat milk and I brought it home. I did Amazon Prime because I'm literally not going to the store right now, baby and all that. But so I got it, right? And I look at the back and the oat milk has sunflower or canola oil. It was canola oil that was in it, I think, or like it was one of those. One of the ones that I'm like, okay, why would that be in there? Like why is that in my milk? That could just be, I can make it at home. I'm just like, I don't have the time. It just could be oats and water. So for example, like looking at the ingredients like ketchup, right? Like some of them like need some, like maybe, I don't need the high fructose corn syrup one, like there are better options that don't taste like the most healthy thing you've ever eaten. So it's kind of just like looking at ingredients and being able to like pronounce them.
Yeah, the biggest thing my mom always told me, like, yo, if there's more than 5 ingredients that you can't pronounce, just put it back on the shelf.
It's like, why?
If it's nacho cheese chips, it should be corn. It should be nacho cheese powder, maybe an oil, and that's it. If it's like 30, 50 things, probably don't eat the Doritos.
Right. And like, listen, like, right, and there's going to be some things you don't know, right? Whereas like over time, I've educated myself on like citric acid and like when it makes like, because like some people might look at that and be like, oh, I don't know what that is. And it's like, okay, some things are just like, it's okay. It's like, it's when it gets excessive and when you're like, and then when you do dive deeper into the food industry, which I'm not saying everyone here should, but like, I feel like we all have a little more understanding of what's going on in the U.S., specifically the food industry, and you're just like, you can't trust them. So when people are like, clean living implies that, or clean eating implies that like this crazy diet and XYZ, it's like, no, it's just avoiding processed food and replacing it with real food. It's actually quite a sustainable lifestyle over like a strict diet if you like break it down.
Yeah, I agree. And I have a quick little tangent about the milk thing. I love what you said about how, again, you would have probably from a local organic cow, maybe some local cow's milk if you could process that. Because I think I would encourage people to be wary of marketing. And, almond milk got super trendy and oat milk and cashew milk. Here's what I do. If I'm making a smoothie, for example, I just use a cup of water to blend the fruit and the flaxseed or whatever else, the spinach, the greens. You don't always need milk. And I feel like, I don't think people realize, for example, almond milk has 1 gram of protein per cup. Cow's milk has 8 grams. So especially if you have little kids, like, give them organic cow's milk. Don't give them that expensive, pretty bottle of processed milk that's processed the same as corn syrup. And I know so many people listening don't have a dairy allergy. Their kids probably certainly don't under the age of 6. And, they think they're giving them a nutritious bowl of cereal. But if you're giving your kids cereal with almond milk, they're literally having a carbohydrate rush, and they're going to literally spike once they get to school. So to your point, look at labels. If something has a bunch of ingredients, you don't necessarily need it. For example, cereal milk, we all know who made that popular. They're from Michigan. You can eat other things, and you don't have to have another form of milk made up. It's kind of like my thought with, all the different like pizza crust things, like with a bunch of ingredients, like from the package. It's better to make it home, obviously, and I'm sure you have recipes for that.
And not everyone has the luxury all the time.
Right. Exactly. And it's just, to Vince's point, to your point, read the label. If there's more than 5 things in it and things you can't pronounce, maybe try to find a way to make a meal from Whole Foods.
Yeah. And like one just like other milk tangent, but you know, I was thinking about like the food industry, right? And like oats are a heavily sprayed crop. So and now this is getting to like the super like my super kind of crazy like sometimes, but I'm like, okay, so now when I look for oat milk, or especially because most of them have oils in it, that I'm like, there's just so many ingredients in it. One, like there's like ways that it breaks down in your body, which but I actually like oat milk because I think it's actually like the least tasting like almonds or nuts or whatever. I actually like the taste of it if I'm going to need a milk alternative. But it's such a heavily sprayed crop that now I look for like the glyphosate free because I'm like, you're still like, so milk, for example, milk organics, they have them like Whole Foods and stuff. It's a good option, or I like that option because I see it on the label. It's like glyphosate free, like organic. And it's like, so at least like I know that they're not, to your point, it's like, something could be trendy. Like you could take almonds that are like, I don't know, like, sprouted nuts are easier to digest, right? So like if you're taking almonds that are like, or oats that are sprayed with this and this and this and not organic or not whatever the case may be, then it's like, what are you even doing? Like, or not what are you doing? But like, I guess, like, what are you putting in your body that's like just another thing, It's just interesting.
That's so true. I always tell people, because I run an organic spot, and I'm like, yo, just get fruits, veggies, and like real good meat. Not the stuff that's pumped. Now there's a thing that just says all natural on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
nothing.
Get good quality meats, right? And it's not as expensive if you think long term, right?
Yeah.
Because what's happening now is that, to Liz's point, the marketing got so big about healthy livings that venture capitalists are in the space now. And so, like, I forget the name, but there's like this huge, like, healthy company, quote unquote, but everything they make is out of sort. You know what I'm saying? And then he got pushed on it, the CEO, and he was like, well, it's the cheapest thing, and it's a high profit, and listen, everyone's going to eat soy at one point anyway. You know what I'm saying? And like, we can go about, we can tell the negatives about food and, unhealthy food, but for anybody listening who wants to like get healthier, like, listen, just start with fruits and veggies and start with some like good quality meats. Ask your butcher, ask your store clerk, hey, where's the organic meat, or where's the best quality meat you guys have here? And just start small, right? Because, Lexi, I was the kid that grew up eating all organic. My toilet paper.
I ate like Taco Bell all day, every day. And it affected me.
My toilet paper in my house was organic. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I was eating organic food before they had the stuff that tastes good.
Yeah.
I was talking about oatmeal in the morning.
Like
oatmeal is. That was I hated it. Like, Mom, do you not love me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Then I got older and I realized she loved me so much.
Yeah, right. But so it's something else that I always find fascinating. I feel like I have this conversation a lot with readers, is like when I started eating like grass-fed meat and organic, like the price of grass-fed beef was like, I think it was like close to $12 a pound. And now
$12 a pound.
Yeah, and now it's like you can get it for $5.99, $6, and it's like we did that. We as like people who are like, no, we want better, we deserve better. We brought those prices down because we created the demand. So it might be a little more than like the crappiest like eggs in the store, but we're changing the industry, and it's pretty cool if you think about it. And it's made me want to do more and get into more of the like, changing, like, I advocate for like safer skincare and beauty because the industry hasn't been regulated. It's completely unregulated. Like things that are banned in Europe are in our self-care, like, or, even just our soaps and things like that. And it's just like, no, like I want to be a part of the change. And not everyone wants that, but like for me, I'm like, it matters. It really does matter. Like I could cry. I'm like so passionate about it.
I was about to say, you're so passionate about this.
So passionate about it. I'm like, and so it's like just, even just like body soap or, the things that plug into the wall that like, when I would go into an Uber pre-COVID times, I would go to the airport and like there would be the car fresheners, and I was like, at this point, I get like nauseous from them. Like I'm like, I like get a headache.
Yeah.
And I mean, they agree. It's just so it really is important, and that's where it becomes like a pillar of health, right? It's like there's different pillars, and it all comes together. So there's the healthy, the clean, healthy eating, the organic when it makes sense and when it's possible. And to your point, Vince, it's like, do you need to buy organic? I don't know. What's I can't even think of a good example, but like you don't need to buy everything organic, but there's plenty of things that are really important to buy organic, you know.
So we just live for the sound.
What's up, guys? Subscribe. Tell your best friend, tell your mom, tell your neighbor, tell your 4-year-old kid. Please listen.
We appreciate you. And thank you so much for all of your 5-star reviews on Apple. That helps us get this podcast out to other people who will enjoy. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
And with that, enjoy the rest of the episode.
You gon' learn, you gon' learn.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, many of us are living in a place where dine-in is not open in restaurants, so we're ordering takeout. What tips do you have for somebody that's easy to eat clean when you never leave your house? And by the way, you guys, that is a pro tip of the pandemic is we are eating more meals at home. It is easier. For example, like I remember business trips were always harder to eat clean and all that. Well, there's not as many of those happening anymore. But I would ask you, Lexi, when you order takeout, or what tips do you have for someone that's ordering takeout to make their takeout order a little bit cleaner? I just feel like it's one thing to do it at home, but it takes a whole nother level of discipline. And we're not saying that, like, you know, obviously 80-20 rule, you can have your takeout where you really don't care. But we try to support local restaurants at least twice a week. So in reality, that's quite a few. It's 100 meals in a year. So I do try to eat clean. Obviously, I eat at Irie Kitchen. It's an organic from scratch restaurant. There's your plug, Vince. There's your plug.
Plug.
Hey, I lemon later. But truth be told, I mean, that I do mean that. So what tips do you have for someone, you know, wanting to order takeout and just maybe like a few like simple swaps or requests you can make?
Yeah. So, well, like one thing to say is like, please don't think that like I don't eat out, especially like with a newborn baby. I'm like, no one bringing over food for us, like besides what was like stocked in my
I didn't think about that part. You really feel trained.
No, like me and Mike at one point, like we were like looking on Grubhub and we were like, gotta dial it back a notch now that she's sleeping, you know? And so the thing is, right, like when you start eating out, like a fair amount, and we're trying to support local businesses too, and I'm like, you see it, right? Like you wake up in the morning, you're like, that was salty. You like, you know, like you like feel it. And of course, when you're cooking in bulk like that, I remember when I lived in my sorority house, like he made pretty good things with the chef. I was very close to them. We talked about it all the time. But he's like, I have to cook with more, you know, a little more salt and a little more of this. And it's just different when you're batch cooking like that. So something I often do is like, I'm like, okay, am I going to go to town right now? Like, am I, you know, like, is, you know, like, it depends what I'm at with my takeout orders. It's Saturday night, whatever. Is it a weeknight? But I try to look at, like, things that might have, like, a little less, like, salt going on. But, you know, for a long time when I couldn't, you know, actually, here's something really interesting. When my stomach was at its worst, I could tolerate butter and some dairy, like ghee and things like that, more than I could really crappy oils. So I got into this habit of saying to the restaurant, hey, instead of my eggs cooked in like whatever oil you're throwing on that grill, can you cook it in butter? Like I would almost rather, even if it's not the best quality of butter, to me, those oils I don't tolerate them also. It's something that's like kind of been ingrained in me that I'm just like, hey, can you cook that in butter? Or like, do you have, or like, because you can kind of figure, right, if they're throwing like oil on, you know, making eggs or making XYZ, like they're throwing just like whatever oil. And I have friends in the restaurant industry and they're like, yeah, whatever. When I say it's olive oil, it's half cut with canola oil. It doesn't mean to get crazy, but, you know, unless you're spending the money, unless you're like, you know, you really care about the quality of ingredients that you're serving. But, you know, you have to call sometimes and somewhere, I assume. But so, like, that's something that I still kind of do because I just know I feel better. Like, I'm like, all right, I just ditched the oils. And it doesn't mean you have to go crazy, but it's like, it's like, all right, like what's the saltiest thing on the menu? And I'm like, let me take it down a few steps. Or like, what me and Mike sometimes do is like, we're like, all right, we'll go for that, but like let's split that and get a salad. So
Right.
we get more vegetables. We'll always try to get a vegetable in there, or like, that kind of thing. But like checking out the sauces, like, or when I say checking out, I mean like chilling out with like the extra spicy mayos on my sushi if it's like the third time a week during the week. Like, I'm still gonna get it, but I'm not gonna go for the biggest dunk,
When you said you were doing Grubhub a lot, I was literally so West Michigan. I feel like the delivery seems better now, but it's not like a big city where there's like a million cool options for delivery.
Yeah.
And anyway, we don't do delivery a lot here. But anyways, it's funny you said that because I literally pictured you getting sushi delivered.
It was the first thing I ate in the hospital.
I literally was like, she's having sushi for sure.
Sushi's a really good option, but people are like, that's all right. I can have like 6 rolls. So it's like if you're dousing it in spicy mayo and you're getting like every roll tempura, like like fried, then like.
My pro tip is to eat ethnic food because most ethnic food is naturally gluten-free. It's often dairy-free.
Yeah.
Like in Lebanese cooking, there's no gluten or dairy aside from the pita bread. So, it's really easy. Same thing like Vietnamese food. It's predominantly like rice noodles. There's really no dairy in it. Yeah, pho is like my love language. So I think that's always obviously Jamaican food, Irie kitchen. There's I don't know. I feel like aside from Italian food, it's pretty easy to avoid dairy and gluten. And not just avoid it, but avoid it in a way that doesn't make you cry with boredom. Because I will not eat a chicken salad my entire life.
No.
So ethnic food makes it enjoyable, and you don't have to eat the same thing all the time. Plus,
And
it's
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be just like avoiding gluten and dairy. It's just like, even if you're eating gluten and dairy, it's like you just want to like not feel like crap all the time. So it's like, even if you're eating gluten and dairy, it's like just making some like better choices when you're ordering out that you're gonna, like, I know if I order the pizza and I don't have anything else with it and I eat the whole pizza, which I've done and I do, and we get this like cauliflower pizza crust and it's delicious, but like there's a few places around here and they're gluten-free crust, but it's like, I know I'm not going to feel awesome. So like, let's split it and get a salad. That's like a solid compromise. And like, I'm eating the pizza, like I'm not like, I'm living. I mean, it's funny though, right? And then like someone comes over and tries like my, like the healthier cereal I got. I actually love it. So I do work with them, but like, and they're like, my mother-in-law came over and I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. Have a bite. Because she was like trying to try it and she's like, oh, I'm like, I think we've been eating this way too long. Because I'm like, it's basically Cocoa Puffs. Like, you wouldn't know the difference. Like, okay, you're probably gonna know the difference if you like never eat that way,
Enviro Kids, whatever, that cereal brand, that organic one.
No, it's a Magic Spoon. Have you tried it?
I wonder the amount of brands that were. So part of my passion, like, which I'm probably gonna end up to, is product and making food products, is because I grew up eating healthy food, and I feel like some things tasted great, but their branding sucked. I was like, yo, listen, if you're gonna be better, you should be better all the way around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having to defend a fresh apple juice box versus their Capri Sun because it looks weird.
Right.
In school, and I'm like, no, like, it's like, and they'll like try my juice box, and they'll always try to trade me their Capri Sun after, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like, this is really good, right? And like, so I always find it funny, like, we have people try.
So excited about that, because now I'm like, oh, I want the one that's just that, but then like they don't always brand it, but now they're more and more, right? Like Siete Foods, like their grain-free tortillas, and like their branding crushes it, like, and their stuff is like good. So it's like more and more like brands are getting it, but you're right. And like, for a long time I was like, I got to get my pancake mix to the market, because it's like, it was an accident. It was like, I was like trying to develop like a gluten-free, grain-free bread, and it like wasn't working, and I ended up with pancakes and waffles, but it's like all purpose, and it's like, it's foolproof. It's like 5 ingredients. It's like people who don't eat any of this way like love them. They're fluffy. They're delicious. And now there's like, and I was like not in a place where I was ready to bring a product to market. Obviously, it takes knowing anything about that and time and partners and all the things. But now there's like all these gluten-free and paleo waffle, like pancake and waffle mixes, and I'm like, I missed it. But like, it's okay because my branding would have sucked. It would have been like, I wouldn't have known better. I would have been like, Lexus can kitchen pancakes, and people would have been like,
So
we don't know who that is. So
have you thought about productizing out? Like, do you see the opportunity? Like, if your pancakes are that great, I feel like you should make the goddamn mitts.
Yeah. But like, here's the thing. I learned this when I have a cookbook, and it came out in 2016, and it was great, right? People love the cookbook. They still love the cookbook. But in hindsight, I shouldn't have called it Lexus Clean Kitchen, because then like the average like person going into the store, into Barnes & Noble, is going to pick it up and like versus calling it like clean eating dinners, or I don't know, whatever it may be. Because like they don't know Lexi. They're not going to pick it up on the shelf like, who is Lexi? So I think it's all about timing, because like, so now that I know that, and I have and I'm able to self-reflect, and like mental health is important in all of this too. So like when you're like getting obsessive, but it's like now that I'm able to like step back away from the cookbook and like the obsessive and emotional part of that whole process, I'm like, that wasn't the move. Like I shouldn't have called it. Like we could have branded it a totally different way, but like whatever, by Lexus Clean Kitchen, and it would have been such a different concept. So I think like me making a product 5 years ago and me thinking about bringing something like that to the market now would look very different. So I'm like happy I haven't. I thought about it, but I have like a 6 month, about to be 6 month old, and it's just not happening. Not happening right now, but maybe one day.
I would love to know what is next for you. And I feel like because you are transitioning, you're kind of rebranding. So, what can we expect from you in the year to come?
Yeah, I'm so excited because, and you guys will obviously have to come join me on this, but so we're going to be launching this, it's going to be called Clean Living or Cleaner Living Conversations in 2021. And it's in the realm of like podcasting, but it's more like transcription. It's like kind of like you can just like, it's like basically the closest thing you can get to having like a coffee like conversation with some people like that, like are in the wellness space, or some ties to like cleaner living or healthy food and wellness and all that. So we're launching that, which is going to be really cool. We're going to have some really cool conversations, and even just like outside, like I'm excited because some of the questions are just like kind of gossipy. They're just like what time do you wake up? And I don't know. So we have like, the focus questions, then like they're like for fun stuff. So that's going to be super fun. And we're just cranking. We have a team now, and like these recipes that we're making, or we come up with an idea and it's getting tested like so many times by so many people, and it's just, we're just so excited of all the recipes and that stuff to come, and like just
about your team, because I think people will love to hear. We do have a lot of other bloggers that listen, and just people that follow blogs don't really realize that there is a whole team behind it. So what is your team like, and how is it structured?
Yeah, so I have a full-time employee, Kelly. She's like the best ever. She's my right hand. Like she is in the kitchen, before COVID times, or before my maternity leave, we develop a recipe, she's testing it, we come to, we're together, we make it, I photograph it, we're all trying it, we're going back and forth. So Kelly is just in it. Like she is in it with me with the recipes, but she's also now, since my maternity leave, or now it's ending, but took on a lot of hats. So she's like doing a lot of SEO, a lot of writing, a lot of managing our team, like our team meetings. She's scheduling those. She's doing audits. Like, so it's always funny. And Liz, was it you that said this? It was like, I feel like it was you. It was like, if you want to be in the food world, don't become a blogger, because like everyone's like, I just hate my job. Like I want to be a blogger. It's like, it is like, first of all, it's very demeaning to work jobs here, but like,
I feel like I blog twice a month.
Right? Like, I wish I had time, but like that's the kind of the cool thing, and something that people can expect more is like more of me. Like I want to share I want to keep updating my baby registry as a resource for other people. Like I want to, and I'm so involved in like the safer skincare, like that whole world, because it matters so much to me. So like you will see more of that. You'll see like skincare routines, and you'll see, like ways like swaps you can make in the home and like all that kind of stuff. But sorry, I get so excited.
No, we love it. I love this. Is what I.
But so my team, so Kelly, like in it with me, like in the kitchen, testing, cooking, like she's like the food editor, right hand. And then we have a few people working on social and different variations, like Pinterest and Facebook, stuff like that. Instagram, like helping me with that stuff. I mostly do a lot of that, but less and less because of maternity leave, but now I'm coming back. And then we have Allie, who is she's an editor, so she's like kind of helping me with the lifestyle content. So I'll like pull stuff, and then she like makes it sound good because I'm not the best writer. And then we have videographers that are creating videos for recipes. We have, I feel like it's endless these days. It's like more and more like small positions, but only a few that are like really big, like either full-time or on the way to full-time. But it's pretty cool because it's like, people don't realize that. They're like, can't the recipe just be at the top? It's like, can you just scroll for like 5 seconds? Because you're supporting all of us, like, all these families, and we work so hard, right? Like, you guys both know, like, to get one thing out, like to get a podcast episode out, it takes manpower, it takes hours, it takes time. It's like,
it's all free content that people aren't paying for. So to your point, I think it's good for people to realize, if you see an ad somewhere, to be gentle and just understand that that's how we're able to give you thousands of free recipes and podcast episodes and guides and all that stuff. So,
and most people are not like taking on, I know like people hate ads and sponsored content, but most people, there's people that are not doing this right, but like most people are not working with brands that they don't love. I want to believe that. Like, the people that are really in it and really doing this right and for the right reasons and love what they're doing, like, like Vince with your restaurant, like you care about the ingredients, right? So you're not going to like cut your cost there. But that might mean that means your prices might need to be a little higher, and, you hope for the support. So it's like with us, it's like, please, I hope people know that we wouldn't just sell out like that, especially at this point when we've been all doing it for so long, right?
I think you're right. I feel like I see less of that. Okay.
Like,
right. All right. So, Lexi, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So where can people go to dive in deeper, learn more, connect with you, try out some of your recipes? I'm already craving a pancake after you talking about that.
Gotta make them.
So where can everybody find you online?
Yeah, so LexisCleanKitchen.com, Lexi's Clean Kitchen on all social media. And you'll see like the branding of Lexi's Clean Living coming through, but it's still all Lexi's Clean Kitchen for now at least. And just you'll find it all on the website, social media. Come like, I was just going to say slide into my DMs, but like, I'm chatting, love to chat, like share what you're making. It's just the best. And I truly like, that's why it's like Instagram and that kind of stuff is like not something I'm willing to give up. That's where the connection happens. And that's where you get to really help people. So
I agree. All right.
You're so, I love your energy. I love your spunk. I love your passion. And so this is a great learning opportunity for me. So thank you for coming on our show.
Having me, you guys. I'll have to do it again.
I can't wait to see you. I'm dreaming that one day I'll be back in Boston and we'll have sushi together. So
sushi, wine, and like you can hold my baby.
Yeah.
Every time I see you with your niece, I'm like, oh my God, Liz, I haven't seen you with a baby in like so many years. Like a baby, like a newborn baby. I'm like, Liz, come play with me.
I know. There's so many babies I'm just dying to hold. So anyways, all right. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you
so much.
All right, bye.
Hey, did you get my text?
I did. Thank you. I always love it when Vince tells me about great podcasts to listen to. Speaking of, if you guys are enjoying this episode, text it to a friend that would enjoy it. Maybe someone you know would benefit from listening. We would so appreciate you spreading the word.
Going to learn this jazz. Ooh, I even got your girl some jazz yesterday. True. display.